All right, welcome to Tribulation 5/15/2011. Today is June 1st. It's a Friday out here in San Jose. It is a blistering hot day. We have reached day 383 of my personal witness and testimony to the tribulation that is unfolding around me. You know, out here in the West Coast and the Southwest, there is an extreme heat warning. You know, across Arizona, New Mexico, temperatures are reaching, 120, 130 degrees. So, you know what? If you're out there, be careful. Drink plenty of water. The news, my friends, is not good. The world continues to spiral downwards into chaos. And one of the problems we got is that, what we're not being offered. I've done blogs where I said, the time's coming where you got to choose a side. You're either on the good side or you're on the bad side. You can't straddle the fence anymore. But, that's kind of on a spiritual level. On a physical level, in the world right now, the problem is we're not being offered a choice of a good option versus a bad option. We're being offered choices between a bad option and an even worse option. So, for example, we got the 2012 election. And, we got a choice of bad being our glorious president, God bless him, Barack Obama. He's so awesome, but he sucks. You know what I'm saying? He's not doing anything. The economy is in complete tatters. Unemployment just went up. America's role as a country that is a peacekeeper and supports the good side is diminishing because our president waved a white flag and said, "We surrender. We're pulling out of everywhere we've ever been." We'll let somebody else do that, the UN, NATO, whatever. But what you're finding out is, all these other organizations, NATO, UN, they don't do anything, But for our election, we're being offered bad, being our beloved President Barack Obama. Everybody loves him personally, and, it's so awesome that he was the first black president. We're all happy about that. But beyond that, there's nothing to be happy about. He sucks and he lies to us every day. He's the bamboozler, the American, the Obamacon, But the other option might even be worse. I might take the worst option. I don't even know if I'm voting, man. To be honest, I stopped voting. I came out of hibernation just to vote against Barack Obama because, the 2008 election was bad and worse too. It was John McCain bad and Obama even worse. And now we got the same thing happening. Obama bad, Mitt Romney may be even worse. Now, of course, Mitt Romney kind of looks like a good guy. He's all clean cut, got a perfect hairdo. He's a Mormon. And you know what? I'm not hating on Mormons. I'm not. I even, have some Mormons in my family, believe it or not. And a lot of them are really nice people and God-fearing people. But that being said, I kind of got a problem with anybody that's a Mormon. And, I did a blog earlier, like the guy I actually was supporting in the Republican primary was Newt Gingrich. But I was kind of not liking the fact that he said he was a born-again Catholic. And, to me, if you're kind of throwing your spirituality out there, I don't know, it's kind of a weird negative thing in a strange way, when it comes to American politics. But, all politicians, Obama and Mitt Romney, are promising a better day. But you know what? There's no better days. Things aren't getting better. Obama said he'd be the great uniter, that he'd bring together Democrats and Republicans. Didn't happen. We're 4 years down the road and we're still fighting over the national debt. And now we're trillions and gazillions and bazillions of dollars in debt. We're never going to be able to pay it off. And the only thing we're going to be able to do is tax ourselves to death and print more money, devaluing our currency. So you know what? There's no happy ending to that. And our presidential election, is a choice between bad and worse. And you know what? If you think I got it wrong, if you think Mitt Romney is bad and Barack Obama is worse, Well, hey, right on, I kind of think it's the other way around. Obama's bad, Mitt Romney may be worse, but either way, what us Americans are doing is it's like, okay, this is what voting in America is all about. You hold your nose and you go, man, this stinks, I'm voting for this. Hopefully it won't be that bad. And if that's what democracy has turned into, then you know what, we don't even need democracy. But likewise, look at the country of Egypt. I feel sorry for all those people over there, because they're having their first ever election. So you got people walking around with an ink stain on their finger going, woohoo, democracy rocks. I'm getting to vote for the first time in my life. I love voting. Oh, wait a second. I'm choosing between bad and worse. So, in Egypt, they're being spoon-fed a choice. They can either vote for a military dictator, or they can vote for a theocracy, an extreme theocracy, the Muslim Brotherhood. So they got a choice of like, all right, I'm going to have a tyrannical military dictator, or I'm going to have a theocracy religious tyrannical leader. So those people right now, they're out in the streets protesting in Tahrir Square again, saying this isn't what we wanted. This isn't what we thought democracy was all about. And you have to ask yourself, why is it that democracy, or even, a republic, because that's what America kind of actually is. But why is it broken? Why is it we get choices between bad and worse? Well, it has to do with the two-party system. And even in Egypt, there's two parties, the military and the Muslim Brotherhood. And there's actually other candidates. Even here in America, we get third, fourth, fifth parties, but they never get a chance because they get squashed and crushed by the two-party system. And the two-party system, the way I view it, is they kind of work together because they don't care which side wins as long as one of them wins. Because then the pyramid continues, the pyramid of power, where the rich get richer, the strong get stronger, and the weak get weaker, and the poor get poorer. Because that's the actual, truth to how the world runs right now. Now, the good news is I do believe that there's a paradigm shift coming, and it's outside of anything that we're actually doing as humans on Earth. It's actually divinely inspired, man. But, I'm not going to get down into that. If you want more details on that kind of stuff, you got to go over to Operation End Times. But, once again, all our choices are bad and worse. It's kind of like solving the debt crisis. We can either tax ourselves to death, or we can spend ourselves to death, bad and worse, And, if you look at what's happening with the world, it's going from bad to worse. The economic meltdown, it's kind of in progress. Look at today, the jobs report came out, unemployment's shooting back up through the roof. Europe is teetering on the brink, and it's collapsing. The dominoes are starting to fall. Spain, Greece, they're thinking about kicking them out of the EU. All of it, not good. And here in the United States, our domino is teetering too. It's like, woo, because we know our Congress, due to the two-party systems of Republican idiots and Democratic idiots, they're never going to agree to do anything. The only thing that they're concerned about is getting reelected. Once again, around the world, nothing but crazy stuff happening. More volcanoes going off, more earthquakes. There was an earthquake in Antarctica. There's earthquakes everywhere, man. The earth is literally shaking. And you know what? If it's not being caused by the sun and the moon and the stuff that's happening, the CME, the solar flares and the coronal mass ejections, which I do believe that is part of what's going on. And there's this huge what the heck do you call it? Well, it's a big dark spot on the sun that kind of looks like Big Bird, man. Who knows what it is? And there's a whole bunch of, really active spots that are rotating around, which probably isn't good news. And of course, we got the Venus transit coming up in a couple of days. But, I do believe there could literally be activity happening inside of the earth, the hollow earth theory, that whether it's our governments or there's some actual race of beings down there, the stuff that they're doing, or the fracking and whatnot, man, we're just destroying the earth. It's bad and worse, like all this clean energy BS, there's no such thing as clean green energy. Anybody walking around saying, oh yeah, the future clean green energy, they're just an idiot, because no matter what they're doing, whether it's solar or wind power, it all has negative effects, man. It's all destroying the earth and destroying the environment. once again, what are our choices for energy? Oh, bad and worse. Oh, bad is nuclear power. Bad is fossil fuels. Bad is coal. Or maybe that's worse. But, here's the good stuff, but it's actually bad. Like wind power, that means there's ugly-ass windmills everywhere killing birds that nobody wants the windmill in their backyard. Or there's solar power where there's solar panels everywhere out in the desert, killing lizards, killing toads. And the materials that are used to make these solar panels are all deadly. And there's no way if you're going to throw them away, they don't biodegrade or anything like that. The electric cars that are so wonderful all use toxic batteries, so the level of deceptions are just huge. And the choices, once again, are just bad and worse. And of course, because unemployment is shooting back up, the stock market is going crashing down. Now, I've been trying to be cool and telling you that, you're a fool if you put your money into the stock market. And, the other little dirty secret that nobody talks about, and I would just tell you, my friends, be wise. Get your money out of the stock market now. Because it's all phony baloney. It's made up of companies that are cooking their books, companies that don't actually do anything like Facebook, and it's being manipulated by the people in the highest levels of power, bankers and stockbrokers, so that the rich get richer. But, the dirty little secret is a couple of decades ago, they started all this 401k BS saying, hey, you know what, in fact, most jobs forced you to do a 401k where you had to put money from your paycheck into it. And all that 401k money is being put into the stock market. And that's why the stock market, through the 80s and 90s was going like up, because there was it was like a river of money steadily being pumped into it through all the middle income and poor people's paychecks. All saying, hey, you know what? There's a rainbow at the end, that when you retire, you'll have this retirement fund. But the truth is, your 401k isn't going to be worth anything when you get there, man. And one of the reasons is that, one of the rules of the 401k is that when you turn 65, you have to start withdrawing it. And that's the dirty little secret, is that the baby boomers, the biggest generation ever to be born, they're all turning 65, starting either last year or this year. So they're all going to be forced to withdraw their money, their 401ks out of the stock market. And what you're going to see is the stock market going, because that same river of money that was pumped into the stock market for the last 2 decades is now going to start flowing out of the stock market for the next 2 decades. So if you put your money into the stock market, you know what? You deserve what you get, man. My advice is go to Reno, do what I do and bet on professional sports. You might still lose your ass, but at least you have the fun of watching a game and thinking, at least while the game's being played, that you might come out a winner. And sometimes you do. You get lucky. But, just like professional sports is manipulated, like I watched the Celtics Heat game the other night, and we all know the NBA, they rig the games. The officials, they know who they want to have win. They want the young superstars, like the guys like LeBron or Kevin Durant, the ones that are making all the commercials, the multi-gazillionaires. They want them to be the winners. And, the old age teams like the San Antonio Spurs or the Celtics, they tend to, blow the whistles and make the calls against those kinds of teams. But, the same principle applies to the stock market, man. If you think it's fair, you know what? You're really fooling yourself. You're one of these people, walking around in a delusional bubble, but I don't know what to do for you guys. My last blog, I said, go ahead and turn on MTV and watch Snooki and the Boys, man, because that's reality. If you're going to be in a bubble, if you're going to have your head in the sand, there's probably no hope for you. Now, one thing I kind of touched on Operation End Times today is I was talking about cannibalism, man. It's actually just crazy, man. And I talked about it yesterday on the last Tribulation blog. But, man, there's actually bunches of cases of cannibalism. So if you want to know what that's all about, go over to Operation End Times. I kind of dig a little deeper into it. But it's not pretty, my friends. It's all bad news, man, Cannibalism is not good, You ever see the movie Soylent Green? That was with Charlton Heston, But that's where the government, in order to feed the masses, comes out with these green crackers, and everybody's, oh, thank you, government providing cheese, wonderful. But then, towards the end of the movie, Charlton Heston's like, my God, they're making the crackers out of people. And you know what? That's a form of cannibalism. You know, like the stuff that's affecting our meat, you know, the meat supply, mad cow disease, you know what does that? It's cannibalism, where they literally take the spare parts from the meat industry, you know, the hoofs, the ears, the tongues, and they grind it all up and turn it right back into cow feed. And they literally feed cows, you know, it's cow cannibalism. But once again, my friends, that's a sign of the end, a sign of the tribulation, which is, you know, that we're living in broken systems, unsustainable systems where we literally end up consuming ourselves. Kind of like locusts, man. You know, once there's billions of them, they come up and they consume everything in front of them, and eventually they eat themselves. And that's what kills them. That's kind of what we're facing, man, is that we're literally going to consume ourselves if we don't wise up and figure it out quick, you know. So the news is just shockingly shocking, you know. You know, I don't know that there is any actual good news, you know. And of course, the whole Syria thing is just blowing up in our faces, man. You know, the UN's not doing anything. They got a couple hundred idiots walking around in blue helmets over there saying, "Please, will you please stop?" As the both sides, you know, the Syrian government and then the rebels, the radical Islamic, whoever the heck they are, they're just going around going, you know what? There's an innocent family, blam, blam, blam. Oh, please don't do that. Please, I got my blue helmet on. I'm a UN worker. Please don't do that. You know, I hate to tell you, you know, you can't stop evil with a white flag. It doesn't work. So, you know, hold on to your hat, folks. You know, we're in a complete tailspin dive, a nose dive. You know, the dragon was cast to Earth yesterday. You know, that's the new private space capsule. It detached from the International Space Station, and it was cast back to Earth, and it landed in the Pacific Ocean successfully. So the dragon has landed. That's on a physical level. Now, there might actually be a spiritual equivalent to that. And that, to me, that's what kind of ties into the cannibalism thing. And if you go over to Operation End Times, I'll show you how it all ties together, man. But you know, there is a positive path. There is a way through to transit what's happening, the chaos. You know, you need to understand what that is, how you get on that path. You know, it's about resetting your values, knowing what's in your heart. Who's on your throne? You know, if you have no idea what the heck I'm talking about as far as a throne, you know, it's not your toilet I'm talking about. You know, that's kind of a throne. You know, I sit on it several times a day. You know, my throne, and I meditate. But that's a physical throne. You know, I'm talking about a spiritual throne inside of your heart, man. Who's sitting on that? And, you know, that's another bad news, a choice of bad and worse, you know, because I read an article just the other day that, you know, there really is not enough water for everybody on the planet. You know, we got 7 billion people, and a lot of us are dying of thirst. And it's going to even get worse because we're polluting the waters. We got Fukushima pouring radiation out into the waters. So there's several articles. You can look it up, man, and books being written and movies being made about, that's what the Hunger Games was kind of touching on, you know, but it eventually is food too, that you start starving, but you know what, we're going to be dying of thirst too. But, you know, it's kind of funny because I was saying, hey, you know, the toilet's kind of like a porcelain throne, but that was what was being said in the article, is that, you know, one of the options, the bad news is there's not enough water, but here's the worst option is they said, hey, we can use recycled water, which is literally the water from the toilet, you know, that we piss and crap into, is that we recycle it and you drink it, you know, better than dying of thirst, just drink some toilet water. My dogs drink out of the toilet all the time, so you know what, it might not be that bad. But they said literally there's going to be a new line of bottled water coming out called Poclain Springs. You know, like we used to have water, you know, called, Geyser Springs, or, you know, just like all these, you know, names, you know, water from the mountains, whatever. But now, you know, we got a worse option, which is buying Poclain Springs water straight from the spring in your house, the toilet. All right. Stay thirsty, my friends. Think positive. You know. Try and do something nice for somebody. Try and find a way to open your eyes and see what the path. There is a path, you know, a way through what we're heading into. So I just hope that your eyes get opened up, that you pull your head out of the sand and you see what that path is. Because if you get on it, it's a narrow path, but you can transit what we are facing, the tribulation. All right, God bless everybody out there.